Hello. Today we're going to look at factorising quadratic equations, and it's the basic quadratic equations. So we use the two numbers which times together and the same two numbers have to add together method. So we know that a quadratic has to have a squared as the highest power of x. For instance, x squared plus 7x plus 10. Now that's a quadratic because the highest power of x is x squared, which is this term here. Next one, 3x squared plus 15x plus 1081. Now again, that's another quadratic because the highest power of x is x squared. It's this term here. Next one, x cubed minus x squared plus 7x plus 21. Now that is not quadratic because the highest power of x is x cubed, and we call that a cubic. So basically a quadratic, and this is from a previous lesson, a quadratic in general makes a U-shape, which is called a parabola, and a cubic makes a shape like that. Okay? Bit smoother than that, but again, drawing on a computer is not exactly easy. Okay, so next one, 15 plus x cubed minus x squared plus 7x. Now again, that's not quadratic because the highest power of x is not x squared, it's x cubed. Okay, now basically, as you probably know, factorise, whenever you hear the word factorise, it means put in brackets. Now, another misconception about factorising is you think that when you're writing it in a different form, i.e. putting it in brackets, that the actual equation changes. It doesn't. It's the same equation but just written in a different format. Okay? So, let's move on to an example or two. So the first one that I'm going to go through with you is quite a straightforward one. And the first thing is you've got to recognise if it's a quadratic or not. Now this one here is a quadratic because the highest power of x is the x squared term here. Okay, so x squared is the highest power of x. Next one, so this is our method now. So what we've got to do is to find two numbers which multiply to 10, so we put a times above that one, and add together to give this number here. Okay, so the first two factors of 10 that I would be thinking of is 1 and 10. Now, no matter how good you are at maths, if you try adding and subtracting those, you cannot make 7. Okay, so it's not those two. Now the next two numbers that can times together to give 10 are 2 and 5. Now you can make 7 if you add 2 plus 5. So therefore those are our two terms, or two numbers that we're after. So therefore x squared plus 7x plus 10 factorises to be x plus 2, x plus 5. Okay, so basically just like with any double bracket, you put the x in first and then you just put the two numbers that you've worked out. Okay, and let's just test when we expand out these double brackets that it equals the original question. So x times x is x squared, and I'm going to do the eyebrows and chins method. 2 times 5 is 10, and then we times our 2 inner. 2 times x is 2x, and then we've got to times our last chin, so then it becomes plus 5x. So now what we've got is x squared plus 10 plus 7x. Okay, so let's now move on to the next question. So what we've now got is x squared minus 8x minus 20. So the factors of 20 are 1 and 20. Now can we make negative 8 if we add and subtract 1 and 20? And the answer is no. So those are no good. Next one, we've got 2 and 10, as 2 times 10 gives us 20. So it's two numbers that times together to give 20 and add together to give minus 8. So now 2 and 10, can we make minus 8 from those? And absolutely we can. And we can do that by saying 2 minus 10. Okay, so basically our two numbers are 2 and minus 10. So what we do, just like with double brackets, we put our x and our x in first, and then we put our two numbers, plus 2 and minus 10. And if we were to times this out, we would get x squared, x times x, 2 times minus 10 is the minus 20, and then x times minus 10 is minus 10x, and then the 2 times the x would add on to give us our negative 8x. Okay, so it's now your turn to have a go at factorising a couple of quadratics. 4 to do, so pause the video and have a go at factorising these expressions. Okay, so just be careful, it's times to give that one and two numbers that add together to give this one here. Okay, so pause the video and have a go. Okay, so question 1, and basically you're trying to come up with two numbers that times together to give 20 and add together to give plus 9. Okay, so the first two that you would try are 1 and 20. Now of course, yeah, you can't do that. And the next two that you would come across is 2 and 10. Now you can't make 9 from 2 and 10. Now this one is quite a tricky one really, because it's plus 9. Now you can make it from 1 and 10, but then if you think about it, the 1 and 20 so you can't make it from 1 and 20. So the two numbers are 4 and 5. So it's positive 4 and positive 5. Okay, so 4 plus 5 is 9 and 4 times 5 is 20. So therefore what we do, first step, we put our x's in with our brackets, and that's just expanding double brackets, which you'll have done before. So basically you put your two x's in, and then you put your two numbers, plus 4 and plus 5. Next one, so what we've got here is x squared plus 2x plus 1. So it's two numbers that times together to give the 1 and two numbers that add together to give the 2. So the only factors of 1 are 1 times 1. And of course 1 times 1 is 1. So 1 times 1 is 1, and also 1 plus 1 gives you the 2. So it's two numbers that times together to give this 1 and two numbers that add together to give this 2 here. So again, we put our brackets in with our x and our x, and then we just put our two plus 1s in. Now another way of writing this would be x plus 1 all squared. It's what's called a double root. Okay, so let's have a look at the remaining questions. So what we've got here is we're after two numbers So it's two numbers which times together to give minus 20 and add together to give minus 1. Now there's a minus 1 here really, because if we think about it, yeah, we don't write plus 1x, yeah, we just write plus x. So where there's no number in front of the x, it's a 1. Okay, so that might have caught out a few people. So the first one is we're going to have to come up with factors of 20. Now the factors of 20 are 1 and 20, 4 and 5, and 2 and 10. And which pair can we make negative 1 from by adding or subtracting? And the only one that we can do that is the 4 take away 5. So therefore we put our double brackets in, x, x, and then basically, so we put our double brackets in with our x's, and then our two numbers, our two factors, we put in here. But make sure that the add or subtract together to give the b value, which is the minus 1. Okay, so therefore that factorised is x plus 4, x minus 5. Okay, so last one of these, and what we're after is two numbers that times together to give plus 12 and add together to give minus 8. So the factors first of all are of 12, so it's two numbers that times together to give 12. That's what two factors are. So 1 times 12 is 12, 4 times 3, and 2 times 6. So which pair of these numbers can we make positive 12 from and add together to give negative 8? So the one that's crying out for me is 2 and 6. However, if we had positive 2 and positive 6, that would equal positive 8, which we're not after positive 8, we're after negative 8. So therefore what I would probably do is I would try negative 2 and negative 6. So negative 2 take away negative 6 is our negative 8. So therefore our two terms are, our two brackets are x minus 2 and x minus 6. Okay, so let's just test that these double brackets, when we expand them out, give us this, x squared minus 8x plus 12. Okay, so this is our factorisation complete, but we're just going to have a quick check. So x times x is x squared, x times minus 6 is minus 6x, minus 2 times x is minus 2x, and then minus 2 times minus 6 is positive 12. And then what we've got to do is we've got to simplify. So what we've got is x squared minus 8x plus 12. And that is the same as the original expression. So give yourself a big well done if you managed to get all of them correct. And that is our quick lesson on Factorising Quadratics. If you have any questions, then please click on the link in the description and we are happy to help.